So my dear students, in the previous lecture, we have discussed about various knitting elements such as knitting needles, sinkers and cam. There are various types, various parts and their mechanism for the formation of knitted fabric has already been discussed. Okay, now I think it is clear to everybody the role of these knitting elements for the formation of knitting loop. Okay, so now in this session we shall discuss about the structure of the knitted fabric. So now we need to get we need to have an idea how the structure of knitted cloth has been produced and what are the various varieties, or you can say various derivatives of knitted structure, and that can be produced by those knitting elements. So the basic parameter for understanding the knitted fabric is course and wales. Course and wale already I mentioned in my previous lecture. A course is a horizontal row of loops produced by all the adjacent needles during the same knitting cycle. It is expressed as course per inch, CPI, or course per centimeter, that is CPCM. The course per inch, which is synonymous to picks per inch in woven fabric. Course are synonymous to picks or weft yarn. Okay, in horizontal direction, you can see in this figure, this black color thread is forming a course. Okay, in this way there are 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 courses present in this structure. Okay, so courses are formed in horizontal direction and all these loops are formed by individual needles. Okay, as many as needles will be present in the circumference or across the length of the needle bed, as many as loops will be present in a course. Because in a single knitting cycle, all those loops are prepared by the needles which are present adjacently across the needle bed, across the length of the or the circumference of the needle bed. And wale is a vertical column of loops made by the same needle in successive knitting cycle. Okay, you can see the difference between the definition of course and needle. A course and wale. A wale, which is a vertical chain of loops. Okay, the wale is produced by the same needle. The same needle is producing this vertical chain of loops in successive knitting cycle. Okay, whereas the course is produced by the different needles which are present adjacently across the needle bed or the circumference of the bed, and a course is produced in a single knitting cycle. Whereas in case of wale, a vertical chain of loops are prepared by the same needle for the successive knitting cycle. Okay, the wale is measured as wale per inch, WPI, or wales per centimeter or WPCM. So wale per inch, that is synonymous to the ends per inch of woven fabric. The total number of wales in a fabric is obtained from the total number of needles in operation. In a knitting machine, as many as number of needles will be present on the needle bed, as many as numbers of wales will be there in the manufactured fabric, because each and every needle is producing a wale. Okay, here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 wales are present. Okay, now stitch density. It is the total number of loops in a unit area such as square inch for square centimeter. It is obtained by multiplying the number of courses and wales per inch or centimeters together. So, stitch density can be obtained simply by multiplying the CPCM and WPCM, or CPI and WPI. The length of the yarn contained in a loop is called loop length or stitch length. Okay, so the amount of length of yarn which is required to form a single loop. Okay, that is called loop length or stitch length. The course length is the length of the yarn required to production of a course. Okay, in a knitting cycle, the length of the yarn required to prepare a complete course is called the course length. So course length can be obtained by multiplying the stitch length or loop length with the number of needles involved in the production of the course. Okay, so you can see the number of needles which are involved for the production of the course. As many as number of needle will be there, as many as number of loops will be there in a course. Okay, so number of loops multiplied with loop length will be the course length. So number of loops will be equal to number of needles. So these are the basic idea of understanding the structure of a single jersey or plain knitted fabric. Now I shall discuss different situation of loop formation. Okay, in plain or single jersey fabric, the structure is very simple. Still, there are some derivatives of the single jersey fabric depending upon the action of the needle, such as clearing, catching and casting off and knocking over. There may be variants of the knitted structure. That variants we now need to understand. So I think you now be familiar with the word clearing, catching, casting off and knocking over. These terminologies, because already you have studied the action of knit formation by the latch needle. Now in the normal loop, face or back loop, ultimately produce four basic web knitted structure: plain, rib, interlock and purl. Already I have mentioned these are the four basic knitted structure, web knitted structure. Okay, the plain fabric is a single jersey fabric, whereas rib, interlock and purl, they are the double jersey fabric. Okay, still these are the basic structure. There may be some variation possible depending upon the action of clearing, catching and casting off and knocking over functions of the needles which are there present for the loop formation during the knitting. However, to get diversity of structure, some modification is to be done in the loop forming cycle that I mentioned. The modification is done based on the possibility of clearing of old loop and catching of new yarn. In addition to the formation of normal loop, loops such as drop stitch, tuck stitch and float stitch can be formed for design diversification. So based on the clearing and catching of the new yarn, drop stitch, tuck stitch and float stitch can be possible. I shall discuss. And during the formation of tuck and float loop, other new type of loop called held loop comes into reality. So drop, tuck and held loops are there present depending upon the clearing and catching action of the needle. When an old loop is not released due time, or not released means not cleared due time, that is held by the hook but retained in the hook for the 2 or more knitting cycle. Okay, it is not clear for 2 or more knitting cycle. It is supposed to be cleared after each and every knitting cycle. The old loop needs to be cleared, but that is not clear. That is held by the hook of the needle. Then that old loop is called as held loop. Okay, so depending upon clearing and catching and the situation and the loop formation, the structure has been mentioned here. So to understand this clearing, catching and the varieties or the derivatives of the knitted structure, we need to watch one video of
Cleft knitting. Knit,
loop
tuck,
formation.
and float.
Here
Let's
you can see the technical face and technical back of the plain knitted fabric. Okay, this figure you are very familiar with. In the technical face, already I mentioned there will be the legs which will appear. Okay, that will give you a V shape mark on the surface of the fabric, whereas in the technical back you will see the crown or head of the loop, which will give you an inverted U shape appearance at the technical back of the plain knitted fabric. Okay, so now if there will be the difference in catching and clearing action during the loop formation, then one can prepare variety of structure. So this is the single loop. Okay, the length of the yarn to prepare this single loop is called stitch length. The legs and crown of the loop is shown. Okay, in the technical face and the technical back, how the loops are present in the structure, they are mentioned. How the legs will be visible on the technical face and the heads are visible in the technical back. Okay, that is shown here. Okay, now this is a simple demonstration of tuck structure. Okay, tuck. Here you can see this green color thread that is actually not forming the loop. Okay, this type of configuration or the structure is called tuck structure. Okay, technical face and technical back appearance are showing here. Okay, now question is how this tuck can be formed. Now we see feeding has been done, but knocking over or casting off has not been done by the needle. Okay, the new thread, that is the green color thread, that has been fed and that is put there at the verge, and then again the new thread, that is the blue color thread, has been casting off. So now the green color thread, that is not forming the loop actually. Okay, previously the pink color thread that is from the loop, that was the old loop, and the new loop has been formed by the blue color thread. The green color thread is not forming any loop, so that's why that will only give an appearance of the tuck. Okay, the appearance of the fabric will be like this. Okay, and this name, the tuck, has been actually taken from this game, where the tuck, thus word, is used. Okay, now another structure is called float structure, float stitch, where the green color thread has been floated. Okay, you can see the difference in structure in the position where the thread is floated in the back of the fabric, in the technical back of the fabric. Okay, when you will see the technical back, you will see the float. Now how the needle is performing for the float stitch is showing here. You can see the green color thread, which is not fed by the hook. Okay, the feeding has not done, but now the blue color thread is fed. Okay, so when the feeding has not been done, then there will be the floating of the yarn. Okay, that's why the typical type of structure is called float stitch. And when there will be the float stitch, then in the back of the cloth will be observed like this. Okay, you can see long float of the yarn length at the back of the fabric. Okay, the appearance of the fabric in the back side, technical back, will be like this. In the front side, the appearance will be normal, like single jersey. Now you can see the difference in single jersey and the tuck float. This is the knit float. You can see the plain knitted fabric knit. This is the knit stitch, the simple stitch when all the functions of the feeding, then clearing, then the casting off has been done properly as per the rule. Okay, then that type of stitching is called knit stitch. Whether in case of knit stitch, the technical face has been observed like this. Here you can see But in case of tuck stitch, in case of float stitch, there will be the floating of the yarn. Okay, in case of float stitch single jersey fabric, the appearance of the fabric will be like this. Okay, even you can use different colored yarn for the floating at the back side of the fabric or the technical back of the fabric. Then the appearance of the fabric in the front and back will be different. In the front side you may have dark red color, in the back side you may have white color. So now knit, tuck, float, these three structure has been shown here. You can now compare how the structure are different in case of knit, float, knit, tuck and float. Now as the structure is different, the property also will be different. Depending upon the structure, their performance properties also will be different. That I shall also discuss. Okay. Now come to the slide. Here you can see the conditions of or situation of knit, tuck and float. When clearing has been done, clearing means the clearing of the old loop out of the latch has been done, catching of the new thread or feeding of the new thread has been done, then both function will be performed by the needle. Then there will be the normal loop formation, which is called as knit. In the second case, when clearing has been done, means the old loop which was held by the hook of the needle, that has been cleared out of the latch. Okay, but no catching of the new thread has not been done. Okay, feeding has not been done. So in that case, the needle do not have any thread inside its hook. Okay, the needle will be empty. So in that case, there will be no knitting. Fabric falls down. So in that case, if all the needle which are present in the circumference of the machine performing this action, no catching and clearing has been done, the hook will be out of the touch of the yarn. Okay, out of touch of the yarn, it cannot be control the yarn for the fabric formation. Then the no knitting will be done and fabric falls down. That type of stitch is called drop stitch. Okay, this is a defect in the knitting machine. So catching, when clearing has been done, no catching, that means there will be the dropping of the fabric. This is a type of defect. Still, sometime such type of drop stitch has been performed in few needles, okay, in a knitting cycle for design diversification. And I come to the next step. Step 3, when clearing has not been done, that means the thread is there inside the hook, catching has been done. Okay, so new yarn has been fed. So in that case, both the old yarn and the new yarn, then they together is actually used for the casting off or knocking over. So in that case, tuck stitch has been formed. You can remember the video already I shown. Now if clearing is not done, okay, that means the old loop is there in the they are inside the hook, and catching is not done or feeding is not done, then the old loop was there for the 2 or 3 or more knitting cycle without the catching or feeding of the new yarns. In that case, floating or float stitch of this fed yarn has been occurred. So this kind of stitch is called float stitch. So the conditions I mentioned here, you can think about the conditions again or situation again for formation of the knit, tuck and float stitch. Now come to the stitch notation. This is very important to present the knitted structure. Now in case of oven structure, you know how to present the design of the oven structure, such as you can by drawing you can be able to present the one by one twill, okay, one by one plain oven fabric, 1/2 twill, 1/3 twill, even satin, irregular satin. There are many designs of oven structure such as Bedford cord, diamond, diaper, Mocleno, Huckaback. So all these design you can be able to present by some design notation. So in case of knitting also there are stitch notation. By using those stitch notation you can be able to present the structure of a knitted fabric. So there are basically three different methods of representing the stitch notation for knitted fabric. One is the line diagram. This is simple by drawing the structural geometry. Then second one is the symbolic notation. On graph paper you can use some symbols and you can just draw those symbols on the graph paper for presenting the structure of the knitted fabric. Then third one is the schematic or diagrammatic notation. So there may be some schematic or diagrammatic notations. Those notations are also can be used for presenting the knitted structure. The line diagram representation is easily understood by the beginner, but it is comparatively difficult to produce, particularly for complex design. The line diagrams are actually the diagram which I have shown you till date. These are the line diagram. Okay, that means this is the line diagram. Okay, here the exact presence of the yarn has been drawn, how the yarn configuration is there inside the knitted fabric. This is the line diagram. So this type of line diagram is very easy to understand for the beginner. But when there will be the complex design, it is very easy to draw the line diagram for the single jersey or plain knitted fabric. But in case of double jersey fabric, when there will be the two sets of needles and two sets of threads, and again those threads are performing some tuck and float stitches, then it is very difficult to draw the line diagram, and it is very difficult to understand the line diagram also. Then symbolic notation on graph paper is widely used for the representation of knitted structure. Now we need to learn about the symbolic notation. The presence or absence of some particular symbol in a square indicates the various types of loops or stitches. Okay, the square is actually the square of the graph paper. So we need to use some symbol which will be there inside the square to indicate the various types of stitches. Okay, for example, here you can see the symbolic notation and schematic or diagrammatic notation vis-a-vis. Okay, in the A, you can, in the series A here, these are the symbolic notations. Okay, inside the square there will be some symbols: cross, circle, dot, or blank. Okay, the cross circle, this is the symbol of face loop. Okay, this circle is presenting the back loop. The dot is for tuck loop and blank is for float loop. These are the symbolic notation. By using those notation, you can be able to draw neat tuck float of single jersey fabric. Okay, whereas in case of schematic or diagrammatic notation, which is more versatile, you can see face loop is presented by the dot and the roundabout. Okay, by this arc in this way. When this loop is a downward direction, this is for the face loop. When the loop is upward direction, this is for the back loop. Okay, when the dot and there will be the undercover, that is the tuck loop of technical face, and when it will be the overcover, that will be the tuck loop of technical back. Okay, in case of float loop, there will be no round over. Only there will be the line, straight line, that is the presentation of float loop. When it will be underlined, then that is the face loop. When it will be overlined, that will be the back loop. Technical face, technical back. So this schematic diagram is more versatile in terms of presenting the technical face and technical back of the knitted fabric, because the appearance of knitted fabric is different in face side and back side. So it is required to mention which type of side, face, technical face or technical back you are presenting. So in that sense, there is a limitation with the symbolic notation, because in the symbolic notation there is no provision of mentioning the technical face and technical back, whereas it is possible by the schematic or diagrammatic notation. Now come to the tuck loop. How tuck loop is formed and what are the various properties of the tuck loop. If during rising the needle reaches to such a height that the old loop is not clear, but needle hook can catch the new yarn during the downward movement, then the old loop is not cast off but retained in the hook, as well as a new loop is formed. This situation is called tucking and the new loop is called tuck loop. Already I mentioned this figure, already I have shown here. You can see, okay, this black color thread that is forming a tuck loop at the middle position, and this the previous loop that is elongated, okay, that is called the held loop. So because this loop was not clear, okay, that was hold inside the hook for the next knitting cycle. That's why the size of this held loop is bigger one. Okay, so and you can see this is the symbolic notation of the tuck loop. Okay, where the cross are actually the knit, because in this position knitting has been done. So all the clearing and feeding action has been performed. So knit, knit, knit. Then in case of one for the first one is showing the representation of the first thread, this one. Then 2E for the second yarn, the black color yarn. The first one knit, the second one tuck, that is by dot. Then third one again knit. Then third yarn, you can see knit, then knit, then knit. So cross, cross, cross. So in this way you can be able to understand the presentation, symbolic notation of the tuck loop here by this graph paper. Now in case of diagrammatic notation, you can see if this is a technical phase, you see this is a technical phase structure. Okay, so technical phase knit, 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 then knit, tuck, knit, then knit, knit, knit. So this is a technical phase. So technical phase can be presented by this type of diagrammatic or schematic notation. So the tuck loop is not intermixed with the old or held loop. Okay, so here the old that in the tuck loop that is not intermixed with the old loop, because they both are altogether casting through the new loop, that is the third one. Okay, that's why you can say the tuck loop is not intermixed to the held loop. The tuck loop along with the held loop may cast off after one or more, generally up to 4 knitting cycle. Here you can see after one knitting cycle, the tuck loop and held loop both are casting off together. Okay, but generally up to 4 knitting cycle, the whole loop can be held. Okay, after that, after the 4 successive knitting cycle, then all the 4 threads are casting off together. Okay, so this is possible. It can be used to increase the width of the fabric, but during tucking, the head loop is stressed. As a result, when the same is cast off and allowed to relax, it shrinks more, causing more shrinkage of the fabric in the length direction. So it is clear that if one can use the tucking, then the width of the fabric will increase. But as there will be the more stress in the head loop, so there is a possibility of higher shrinkage in the fabric after the tuck stitch. It makes the fabric more compact. So as the width has been increased, it makes the fabric more compact and offer better dimensional stability and shape retention. Okay, when we require more dimensionally stable fabric, okay, then we need to go for the tuck stitch. Sometimes it also improves the bulk of the fabric. Width has been increased, okay, that the tuck or held loop, they will give a more bulk fabric. So, okay, for example, cardigan is one of the knitted structure which is generally treated as bulky knitted structure, okay, which is having a higher thickness. The tuck stitch structure is generally less extensible and porous in nature. Okay, so it has a higher porosity because the head loop, which is elongated one, that will produce hole or pores in the structure, which will give a much porosity, but the structure will be less extensible. So use of tuck stitch, patterning and fancy effect by using colored yarn. One can use different colored yarn for the tucking to give a fancy effect and patterning effect. Making heavier fabric, already I mentioned above. Okay, width of the fabric has been increased, so the fabric become heavier. Introducing special type of yarn. Sometimes special inextensible or thick yarn can be used for the tucking, which will give a better appearance. Reducing laddering tendency in single knit structure. Laddering is one of the defect in the knitted fabric, single jersey knitted fabric, where when a loop is broken, then the fabric tend to disintegrate. Okay, and the disintegration will be like a ladder by forming a ladder that I shall show you later on with image. Okay, the laddering tendency can be reduced by the tuck stitch. Whenever there will be a tuck, at that particular point laddering will stop. Ladder will not propagate further. So the tucking is then very useful for preventing the further propagating of the tearing of the knitted fabric. Making the panel of garment for size or the cutting lines of armhole, necks, etc. Sometimes the tucking has been used to make the mark of cutting lines, okay, in the place of armhole, necks, etc. The tuck mark will guide the garment manufacturer to cut the fabric from that point for the preparation of armhole, neck, etc. So that will be useful for notation or cutting notation of various panels of garments. Now come to the next structure, that is float loop. If during rising needle reaches to such a height that neither the old loop is clear nor the needle hook can catch the new during the downward movement, then the old loop is not cast off but retained in the hook, as well as no new loop is formed. This situation is called as floating. Okay, already I mentioned and showed in the video. You can realize the situation when the floating has been done. The structure is again shown here. The structure is called the line diagram, as well as you can see the symbolic notation in the graph paper, where there will be the float, there will be the blank, otherwise neat can be represented as cross. And this is the schematic representation, where you can see in case of float there will be no roundabout, only the straight line of floating of this yarn has been shown here. So the straight yarn connecting to nearest loop knitted from it called float or mesh loop. Here you can see this loop is called float or mesh loop. Okay, the missed yarn floats freely on the reverse side of the head loop. Okay, in the back side of the head loop, the float will be floated. Okay, in the technical back of the single jersey structure, but it is the middle of the rib and interlock structure. But in case of single jersey fabric, you can see the float at the technical back. But in case of double jersey structure such as rib and interlock, the floats will never be visible because the float will be hidden inside the structure. Okay, because in case of double jersey fabric such as rib and interlock, always in both sides you will see the technical face. The head loop is extended in wheel direction until a knitted loop is formed. Okay, so head loop always will be extended in wheel direction, okay, in the vertical direction until a new loop is formed. Okay, incorporating float stitch tend to exhibit faint horizontal lines. Okay, so horizontal lines will be appeared. They are narrower because the wheels are drawn closer together. So the floated fabric structures are narrower, whereas the tuck structure was wider. The float stitches also reduce the width-wise elasticity and improve the dimensional stability. But width-wise elasticity will be reduced and dimensional stability will be enhanced. Continuous float for maximum 6 adjacent needle is generally practiced. So continuous float of maximum 6 float is actually practiced. The float stitch provides a convenient way of hiding colored yarn at the back of the fabric when they do not knit at the face. Sometimes some colored yarn are used and design requires that the colored yarn always keep hidden inside the structures. In that case, In case of double jersey structure, colored yarn will be used that will be hidden inside the structure, will never come on the front. So that is possible in case of float stitch. Combination of knitted and short float produce a fabric that does not ravel from the edge, and for this reason they are used in veils and stockings. So combination of knit and short float that will produce a fabric which will prevent unraveling, because raveling is one of the nuisance in the single jersey fabric. Okay, if there is any breakage of the yarn at any place of the single jersey fabric, and if you draw the fabric will disintegrate from that position, and the whole fabric will be disintegrate to produce the yarn. So this is a nuisance when you are using or wearing some stocking and socks and veils, then the unraveling is a very embarrassing. So to prevent that unraveling, one can use the knit and float, combination of knit and float, short float. So that short float will prevent the unraveling. Okay, so this is very means useful technique for preventing unraveling. Thinner and lighter than tuck stitched or normally knitted one. So thinner fabric can be produced. That's why the float is useful for stocking or skinny dress material, because they are very thin, narrower and less extensible. The fabric is narrower because width has been reduced. As the width has been reduced, the fabric become much, you can say, the denser fabric with higher covering power that will cover the skin very uh, very good. So filmy and less rigid. The fabric become filmy and less rigid. That's why float structure has been used most of the ladies wear, which are screen friendly and cover the screen, and as well as the fancy. Drop or press off stitch. Okay, this is a particular situation when the needle will be out of the held of the yarn, when the needle don't have any yarn, neither the neither the needle can be able to catch the new thread, or nor the needle is able to hold the thread inside its hook. So then such type of stitch is called drop stitch or press off stitch. If the needle releases the old loop but does not catch the new yarn due to the knitting for loop formation, then the knitting does not take place. So then it is called drop or press off phenomena. As a result, the needle becomes empty and loses contact with the fabric. Generally, it's a fault, and fabric falls down from the vicinity of the needle. Such a situation is termed as dropping or pressing off. Drop stitch or press off stitch is used very occasionally in flatbed knitting or for design diversification. In sometimes few needles can be used for dropping or pressing off operation for making some design or making some design. Otherwise, if all the needle which acting the drop or press off action during the knitting cycle, then the fabric will fall down, and that will be a defect in the knit manufacturing. Now, timing of knitting in a circular double jersey machine. So knitting timing, that is very important to understand. The relative position of the two beads, say dial and cylinder, in a double jersey machine is changeable. Okay, relative position of the two bed machines. In case of double jersey machines, there are two beds. In case of circular machines, the beds are called dial and cylinder. Okay, their relative position may be changeable. This can be achieved by rotating the dial in clockwise or anti-clockwise direction. You can rotate the dial by clockwise and anti-clockwise direction to change the position. The relative position of the two beds determines the relative position of the knitting cams in the beds. So by changing the position of the beds, you can also be able to change the relative position of the cams in the beds. According to the relative position of the knitting cams in the two beds, the adjacent dial and needle may form loops simultaneously or with a time gap. So if there will be the difference in the position of the cams in two beds, there will be the change in timing of operation of loop formation. Either the needles which are present in dial and cylinder, they will act simultaneously for loop formation, or they can perform with a significant time gap. This possibility leads to two types of knitting timing. One is the synchronized timing, when there will be no time gap or there will be no phase difference, or delayed timing, when there will be a time gap or phase difference. Under synchronized timing, the neighboring dial and cylinder needles start forming loops simultaneously and reach the respective knitting points or loop forming points at the same time. Okay, in this situation, the yarn pulled out from the package simultaneously by both the needles of the dial and cylinder, and knitting takes place under comparatively lower yarn tension. As both the needles are drawing the yarn from the package, the knitting tension will be low. When neighboring dial and cylinder needles reach the respective knitting points with a time gap, it is called delay timing. Okay, that means when the needles of the dial complete the knitting, then the cylinder needle start to knitting. Okay, so in that case, that is called the delayed timing. Generally, the cylinder needle first makes the loop and reaches the cylinder knitting point, and the neighboring dial needles does the same job with a time gap or phase difference. The phase difference is expressed or measured by the number of needles or needle spaces between the two knitting points, says one needle delay, two needle delay, etc. So this timing or phase difference is actually denoted by these words, say one needle delay or two needle delay, in this way. The knitting tension is high in this case of this delayed timing, because when one yarn is drawing the yarn, it is drawing the yarn partially. So synchronized timing result larger loop length than the delayed timing, because the tension is lower in case of synchronized timing, whereas in case of delayed timing the loop length will be smaller because the knitting tension is high. As amount of delay is adjustable, a wide range of loop length can be produced under the delay timing, and that too at variable knitting tension to suit the requirement of the end product. So in terms of changing the loop length, delay timing is more versatile because the timing delay is adjustable. So as it is adjustable, depending upon the delay timing, the knitting tension can be changed. Okay, the loop length or stitch length is depending on the knitting tension. When the knitting tension will be low, the loop length will be high. When the knitting tension will be high, loop length will be small. So in this sense, in the delay timing, by changing the time, one can change the loop length. And as I have mentioned earlier, loop length is the single most important fabric parameter which will affect many of the properties of the knitted fabric. So various types of end products can be manufactured when in a machine which is having a delayed timing. So delayed timing is more versatile and desirable than that of the synchronized timing. Thank you for your attention. Happy learning.